Thank you, Kathy. Kathy always reminds me to hit record. Oops, that's going to go on the YouTube video. I forgot. Anyway, welcome everyone to tonight's full moon ceremony. This month we celebrate the sun in the sign of Gemini and the moon in its opposite sign, Sagittarius. And this is the third of the three great festivals of spring. It falls in the sign of Gemini because Gemini is considered a sign of distribution. And tomorrow, at the exact moment of the full moon, which is 12:45 a.m., the Christ will distribute to all of humanity the blessing that he and his brother, the Buddha, received at the Wesak festival last month. The last few weeks, it has come to my attention that Pentecost Sunday is always just a few days before the Gemini festival. And I started thinking about how these two might be connected or related. The first thing I noticed was the preponderance of the number 5. Pentecost is 50 days after Easter and 5 days before the full moon. Pente means the number 5, and Gemini is ruled by Venus, which is a ray 5 planet. And ray 5 symbolizes the 5-pointed star. So I'm not a numerologist, so I'm not really sure what all this means, but I found it a fascinating synchronicity. This year, Pentecost occurred on Friday, June 6th. In the Christian tradition, Pentecost is seen as a dispensation of the Holy Spirit. Esotericists would define Pentecost as the universal dissemination of the Christ consciousness throughout all time and into the hearts of every human being. Christ said, "Lo, I am with you always, even to the ends of the earth." That Christ consciousness is within each of us. We are born in love, not sin. That Christ consciousness is a state of consciousness to which we all aspire. It's the spark of divinity within each of us. And when it reaches full expression within us, when we reach that step in our evolutionary journey, we are pure love, fully expressed. We fully express our divinity, just as the Master Jesus did. And he was the first human to do this. But he has told us that we will do those things and many more when we get to his point of evolution. All of humanity then becomes our family. We recognize the divinity within each other, and we act accordingly. This is the highest expression of the energies of Pentecost. Pentecost is the symbol for right human relations, where all people of every nation understand each other, even though they may be speaking in many diverse languages. When energy is poured forth at Pentecost, it ignites that divine spark within us. It stimulates our desire to be more loving, more inclusive. It stimulates our will to good, our tendency to share and to be more compassionate. And we can certainly use that in our world these days. Now let's talk a bit about Gemini and its opposite sign, Sagittarius. The soul-centered goal of Gemini is intelligent love, the blending of the heart and the head. How can we join these two energies in our lives this month? How can we demonstrate our love intelligently? I always like to share the story of the Buddha when we talk about Gemini, because he demonstrates this principle. We are told that he came upon a den of lions, and the baby lions were all starving because the mother didn't have enough food to get them. and they were too small to go get their own food. So it is said that the Buddha sacrificed himself because he was so full of love that he wanted to feed those baby cubs. So that's a wonderful thing to be filled with that much love, but was it the intelligent use of love? Could he have found another way to feed those cubs without sacrificing himself? The Gemini personality can tend to be a bit unstable as it flits from one thing to another, always curious, always looking for stimulation and something new. In the glyph of this sign, which you see behind me, we see two pillars joined by a bar across the top. These two pillars represent the duality inherent in Gemini. As a personality, the Gemini person has to continually work with his dual nature, the opposing forces within himself. He struggles with joining heart with mind, doubt with confidence, light with dark. At the highest level, it is the duality of soul and personality, spirit and matter. So this month, we might ponder on the questions, where am I at war within myself? What are the inner battles that I'm struggling with? And how can I bring unity to these opposites? The good news is that there's a harmonizing aspect to Gemini and to the Gemini energy. It resides in its soul-centered ruler, Venus. She connects the opposing forces in a field of love. When you become aware of the parts of your personality that are doing battle, invoke Venus, invoke love and harmony, and see if it can transform that battle into a united expression of healing love. That's the joining line that you see in the glyph here, joining the two twins, they're called. The Tao describes the battle like this. The place where the this and the that are not opposed to each other is called the pivot of the Tao. When we find this pivot, we find ourselves at the center of a circle. And here we sit, serene, while yes and no keep chasing each other around the circumference endlessly. But under the influence of the soul, Gemini becomes a transmitter of this spiritual energy of love. Once the heart is infused with love, it allows the Gemini person to see the divinity within everyone. And that is our task this month, to allow the energy of love to transform us. The power of love is what this third festival is all about. Gemini's opposite sign is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign, while Gemini is the mental sign of air. So Sagittarius embodies the energy of adventure, of exploration and freedom. Sagittarius encourages us not to get stuck in our comfort zone, but to step out courageously into the unknown. This sign also asks us to be more understanding and tolerant of differences. Sagittarius always searches for the deeper meaning of things. The glyph or the symbol for Sagittarius is the archer that aims his arrow high toward his goal. And once the goal is reached, he resolutely moves toward achieving the next goal. The mantra for this Sagittarius personality is, I see the goal, I reach the goal, and then I see another. He is in a relentless pursuit for the truth. Some words that describe facets of the Sagittarian personality are one-pointedness, hence the arrow pointing in one direction. The explorer, the seeker of truth, the moralist, the free spirit, the guide, the know-it-all, the philosopher. This is a helpful energy for the Gemini native because it gives Gemini the quality of groundedness and focus, which it dearly needs if he is to accomplish anything. Pam Younghans describes the blending of these two energies. Quote, with the sun in airy Gemini opposing the fiery Sagittarius moon, we are asked to use both intuition and logic to take inspired action, but also to be thoughtful and communicative, to be optimistic, but also reasonable, to stretch ourselves mentally and physically, but also to attend to our immediate surroundings and our daily routines, end quote. Another astrologer talks about the lesson which Gemini teaches. Quote, this is the soul lesson which Gemini teaches. The outer mind, the concrete mind, so quick to analyze and argue, so gifted in self-expression, must be brought under the control of the higher mind so that it becomes like a beautifully tuned instrument, transmitting the harmony and the wisdom of the heavenly world, end quote. In that regard, it mirrors the energy of this third festival, sometimes called the Festival of the Christ, because as you know, it was at Wesak that the Christ stood at the stone altar and received the cosmic energies of the Buddha. At this festival, those energies are dispersed into all of humanity. Sometimes this festival is called the Festival of Humanity because we have this powerful opportunity to receive these energies fully into our being. And the more consciously we invite these energies in, the more potent they will be. And the more powerfully they will stimulate our divine natures. This festival is also sometimes called the Festival of Goodwill, because that is the way most people will manifest this energy, as a desire to just be a better person, to do good. The full moon in Gemini also always falls on the World Invocation Day, on the World Day of Prayer that has been going on for many decades. It was created as a way to intensify the invocative appeal during this full moon because of the unique opportunity to affect the downpouring. During this day, all around the world, people will be reciting the Great Invocation every 15 minutes for 24 hours as a way to magnify and strengthen the invocation to the hierarchy. The Tibetan master Dwal Kul says this about this important day, quote, the power of united prayer and meditation is as yet a little used resource. On World Invocation Day, we have the opportunity to marshal this power to aid the forces of light upon planet Earth. To invoke is to call upon, to petition for help or support, to appeal to. In the case of World Invocation Day, the appeal is being made to God and to the overshadowing beneficent forces to come to the aid of humanity and the planet in response to our united invocative appeal. It is said that the invocation could change our lives, reorient our purpose, expand our consciousness, and stabilize us in spiritual being. It could also disrupt and rebuild the planetary thought form and open the door into the new age, thus ushering in the new and better civilization. This could be done so rapidly that the needed changes could come about almost overnight, and humanity could settle down to a life of group goodwill, individual harmlessness, and right human relations. Please join us in this global day of prayer, meditation, and invocation. Together, we can change the world. End quote. As you know, the stronger the appeal, the wider the doorway or channel through which these energies can pour. It is said that when humanity's appeal becomes potent enough, it will reach up to the Christ himself, and he will begin his externalization process here on earth. He will return, and we are preparing the way through our own individual work and through our group work. Let us stand with the world teacher, the Christ, for the potent downpouring of love that is possible. I know that the last several weeks or months have been difficult for many people with all the astrological configurations in the sky. So this evening, let's just attempt to let all of that go and just be open and willing to receive this great gift of love that the spiritual realms are pouring down upon us. Here are some words from the wise philosopher, Winnie the Pooh. Quote, "It's a quiet night tonight, isn't it, Piglet?" said Pooh, gazing up at the stars. "It certainly is," said Piglet, his little paw resting on his friend's. "What do you think the stars talk about?" asked Pooh. "When we're not listening, I mean." Piglet thought for a moment. "I think they talk about light," he said, "and how even in the darkest skies they shine as best they can, no matter how small they are, because they know that someone, somewhere, is looking up and needs to see them." Pooh smiled. "That's a lovely thought, Piglet. Do you think we're like that too? Little stars shining for each other?" Piglet nodded. "Yes, Pooh, I think that's what we're meant to do, to be a little light for someone, even when the night feels very big and very dark." Pooh sat quietly for a moment and then said, "If that's true, Piglet, then I think you're the brightest star I know. Even on my gloomiest days, you make me feel like everything will be all right." "In your mind, Pooh." Wait a minute. Okay. "And you're mine, Pooh," said Piglet softly, "because with you, I always feel safe, even when the woods seem scary or the path isn't clear." The two friends sat together under the stars, wrapped in the kind of quiet love that doesn't need grand gestures or fancy words, just presence, just care, just two lights shining for each other in the great big world. Unquote. I'd say amen. Wait, I'm not finished. "What do you think we should do tomorrow?" asked Pooh after a while. "I think we should just keep shining," said Piglet. Let us prepare now for meditation. Begin by making sure you're comfortable and that you will not be disturbed. Allow yourself to have this time free of interruptions and distractions. Notice your posture and see if you can sit with your spine relatively erect without any tension or discomfort. Now imagine the soul as a ball of light right above your head. And as you breathe in, know that it is the soul that is inhaling your breath into itself. Then from that place of centeredness, the soul exhales its love and light through every chakra, illuminating your body with the light of the soul. Breathing in the soul, breathing out love. Notice the alignment that takes place from this process. All of your chakras are aligned with the energy of the soul, infused with light. Now imagine that the color violet is filling the room. This is the color of Gemini. Breathe it into your heart space and allow it to open your heart so that you are receptive to the downpouring of love that will occur as we invoke these energies of Gemini. Be aware now of your consciousness expanding, opening up, reaching up to the spiritual realms. See now in your mind's eye the image of the Christ. Imagine him in any way that resonates with you, but picture him as clearly and fully as you can. Become aware of the energy of love that emanates from his being and align yourself to that energy. Feel it enter your body, filling every cell with love. Now imagine it expanding and enfolding your entire auric field. Then, with a conscious act of focused will, send forth your appeal, your demand, that the Christ release the energies of love throughout the planet. We are told that whenever we invoke, there will be a response. So know that as you do this, an intense magnetic field of transforming power is being created that will draw the needed energies into the earth. Be open and receptive now to these powerful energies. Imagine this unconditional love infusing your relationships, creating harmony, resolution, and healing. This powerful love is also badly needed by our world. So let us open our hearts in love to all of humanity. Let us offer this prayer. I open myself to the power of grace that lives in us as goodness, that is never absent, and radiates peace and lights the way to transformation. With purity of motive, inspired by a loving heart, we offer ourselves for this work of healing. This offer we make as a group to the ones we seek to heal. We feel a deep love pouring into us, the love of God and the love of humanity. We turn our focus now to the Ajna center, the center between the eyebrows. And we see that we are points of radiant light. We radiate this light, blended with the healing rays of the Christ from our Ajna center into the world. We say silently together, may the love of the one soul focused in this group radiate upon humanity and every nation, especially in Ukraine and the Middle East. May it heal, soothe, strengthen, and dissipate all that hinders service to the world. We believe in the results of our work. We hold this deep radiating love throughout the next 3 days, a love that is safeguarded by our intentions and by our work together. We see the healing energies being received by all of humanity and by every nation. And thus we see the nations and humanity stabilized, restoring right human relationships between countries, nations, and individuals. This love is constant and continuous. Wherever we are within us, we can create a healing dimension, radiating outward from ourselves the will to good, the will to love. Let us remember that the next 3 days are called the days of distribution. We are filled now with sacred energies. Let us take a moment to imagine using these energies in a focused, intentional way. Let us imagine a day in September. It is Peace Day, and the ritual opening of the work of the United Nations is about to begin. Imagine all the world leaders have gathered around an enormous oval table, seating 190 plus nations. In the center of the table is a large chalice filled with pure spring water, the World Communion Chalice. Imagine that the scourge of war has been eliminated. And now we are celebrating unity and brotherhood and are recognizing one another for each nation's achievement on behalf of world good. The atmosphere is one of respect, true dialogue and understanding, and pledges of support are being offered for each nation's needs and bringing them to solution. This is a global communion celebration of brotherhood, the desire of all nations, and a sign of world peace. The presence of the risen Christ is the spiritual keynote emanating from each and every heart. National leaders are committing to the good of all their people and the people of all nations within the field of this great unified heart. Such is the word spoken now on earth. In one spiritual speech, the language of unity through brotherhood is understood. This is the destiny of the United Nations. And let us keep this vision of humanity alive in our minds as we go through these next few months together. Let this be our prayer. O Lord of light and love, come forth and rule the world. May the Prince of Peace appear and end the warring of the nations. May the reign of light and love and justice be begun. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with us. Give yourselves a few minutes to return now, making sure that you are grounded in the earth and fully in your body. And when you are ready, please open your eyes. And of course, I couldn't have a ceremony without a poem. So this is a poem called Beginners by Denise Levertov. But we have only begun to love the earth. We have only begun to imagine the fullness of life. How could we tire of hope when so much is in bud? How can desire fail? We have only begun to imagine justice and mercy, only begun to envision how it might be to live as siblings with beast and flower, not as oppressors. Surely our river cannot already be hastening into the sea of non-being. Surely it cannot drag in the silt all that is innocent. Not yet. Not yet. There is too much broken that must be mended, too much hurt that we have done to each other that cannot yet be forgiven. We have only begun to know the power that is in us if we would join our solitudes in the communion of struggle. So much is unfolding that must complete its gesture. So much is in bud. Let us close with the great invocation, and I hope that you will all consider repeating this several times tomorrow on our day of prayer, World Day of Prayer. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. See if you can again visualize light pouring onto the planet. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May the Christ return to earth. Imagine the unconditional love of the Christ pouring forth to humanity. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Om. 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 Namaste, dear friends.